All right, man, we give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Pick us up in John chapter 5 and verse 39. Search the scriptures, man, and we think you have eternal life. They would testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you. Allah, there's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had to believe Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote in me. Shalom, my G. We give praise to the living Elohim. Another opportunity to cease and desist for the hearing of the word. Just for the hearing of the word. It ain't really about nothing else other than that. So with that being said, I should have cut this thing off and put it back on. A good man show favor and lend. He guides his affairs with discretion. That is the keynote verse. Out of your affair, showing favor, which is so. With that being said, you know, and I said this before, the type of conversations that we have, it's not for everybody. So everybody don't want to hear all that. You know what I'm saying? But at the end, reason and purpose. We read John 3 the other day. It might have been last week. I can't remember. You know, I'm old. My mind bad. So, Ezekiel chapter 18. This is how you get the favor. Get the Canaan. Yahushua will separate you to life because he is the seed. Because in Isaac shall your seed be called. And all Yasharal is not of Yasharal, because everybody of Yasharal is not of Isaac. They're not of the promise. Because you believe. See, individuals can skin it and grin it and be like, oh, that nigga don't know what he's talking about. And that's fine and dandy. Ain't no skin off my back. Ain't gonna concern me in the least bit. But it's not gonna change the fact that these niggas don't believe his word. You know how we know people don't believe his word? Because Kamala the great wrestler, some know her as the vice president. You know, that's got to be a disrespectful thing in the world, that you in a lesser station than your wife, that you got, that if she becomes president, you'll be called the first husband. That's just horrible. Never elevate a man to his greatest position. A woman becoming president and husband, the first husband, does not put him in a position of nation. He's lesser. He's in a subordinate position. That's just insane. That don't even make no sense. You are emasculated. They got to walk around here and say, I'm the first husband. What type of man would want to volunteer for that? You know what I'm saying? But I mentioned that because niggas kept sharing the meme because this lady wore purple. But she wore purple and tried to equate it to Revelation chapter 17. See, this be the stuff right there. That right there is what I be talking about. Talking about she the great whore riding upon the beast. Well, you can't be that stupid. Can't be that stupid. But the sad part is people believe that and propagate it. I was talking about it earlier today before I read this. I didn't want you to know because I seen this when I was in the gym. Then I looked it up because I had to get me a bonus session. And I seen they were talking about doing building about 2 weeks ago was all shoots, RICO statutes. If you don't know what RICO statutes is, that's racketeering, influence, criminal, or racketeering, influence, continuing criminal enterprises. It was created specifically in the American penal system that cannot be beaten. It's probably 2 charges at least on the federal level, shoot, even on the state, that cannot be beaten, in my personal opinion. They're very, very difficult to beat from the cases that I show, man, that I've seen on the federal level. There's very few people who have walked away from RICO charge. But I mentioned that because they said that they wanted to come up with America as foreign terrorist organization, foreign organizations. Foreign organizations, and how they say they got all these right-wing groups and this, that, and Democrat, because they have different dichotomies in the narratives of which they propagate and disseminate amongst the public. You know, Republican, the narrative is that they're limited government. Yeah. Nature, and you know, Democrats are liberal and big government tax. You know, the Republicans are for the wealthy, the Democrats are for the poor guy. All those people are the same, but just opposite, as the term is called, because they want you to pick a aisle seat on the other side of the aisle. You might continually bicker about a narrative that they created for you that's not rooted in any manner of reality. You know what I'm saying? And the case in point of that is people say, I'm glad we're back to regular racism because Trump racism was too open. That is a abomination as a man to utter words like that and to agree with it. Because number one, it shows that you don't have a ruling class mentality. Number two, the fact that something rose up in your face to challenge you, that you were going to have to do something to elevate your level of play. And that is what something. And you don't want to do anything. Most people are like, Trump racist. Shoot, Biden's racist. What politician have you ever met that was not? A person can't be in political office for 48 years and think he care about you. You got to be a special type of stupid, or lesser than them in a country that was created for them. Donald Trump had a role to play and he played it. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. That's all he did. He's that there in the third. None of you said he was racist before he was president, so you would have to ask yourself, who put that thought in your brain? Did you come up with that on your own? Or did someone create a narrative and you parroted it? Not because that's what you genuinely saw and believed before this man was on a particular platform, or it's because CNN told you that. And because CNN told people that and people repeated it, you repeated it because you believed it to be true. See, you have to sit back and think about, why do you think and believe the things that you believe in the current society you live in? Do you believe that based off of information that you took the time and did the due diligence to figure out, or are you parroting a narrative? You have to understand something. In the United States of America, everything is narrative. They are storytellers. They craft narratives. That's how they bewitch. That's how they do that. You should have paid attention to that. I told you that when they did the thing with Capitol Building, using terms as domestic terrorists, insurrection, sedations, and all things of that nature. Any of you, if you have taken the time to see anyone rebel against the government, there were weapons and bloodshed. You can't have an insurrection without bloodshed. None of these people had weapons. None of these people attacked anyone. All of those political people who were in that Capitol building, and none of these people who came in there went to seek to do any of them harm. None of them. None of them came with guns. None of them came with knives, bats, nothing. That is not an insurrection. An insurrection is to seek or the overthrow of the government, which in reality, if you are familiar with the United States Constitution, the people have the right to do that. Most people don't know that. That's the purpose of why they put the right to bear arms in the Constitution, in case these people went to acting foolish, the people could band together and overthrow them. Because in theory, simply in theory, the United States Constitution was created because the United States Constitution, the United States of America is not a democracy. See, you parrot that, and they teach you this in American government, and you don't pay attention to it. Representatives of the people. In mentality, in technical sense, the people are the ones who are supposed to hold the power. So if the people were dissatisfied with the government, the people could remove the government by force if they so chose. All you have to do is read the stuff for yourself. See, these are things that you should know as a grown man based off the land where you presently live. You should know this. And YouTube video, you should know it because somebody told you that. You should know it because you took the time, because you were desirous to inform yourself so that you could inform your seedlings, so you could inform your brothers who may not be aware of that information. You understand what I'm telling you? You have to know where you live. You just can't be floating around in the fantasy land. Like, which way did he go? What is going on? Because, see, it's not about right-wing extremists. Eventually, they are going to comfort anyone who has anything negative to say against the status quo. See, that's why I pay attention to the fact that I said negative to say. See, I'm saying all this because it's going to get to something in Psalms 112. This is not for no reason. Just let that be known. It's the cultural and societal norms that they're seeking to dictate. That if you have too rough of a voice, because right now they're investigating Parler. And it's not about people being pro-Trump and rioting. They're looking for people who they may determine who may be a rabble rouser. Somebody, the same thing they did with COINTELPRO. Let us go into these organizations, see the people who have influence and leadership abilities to direct other people and eliminate them. We don't need you talking against the sissies and the confused trannies. We don't need you doing that. We don't need you inhibiting women's rights, abortion rights, whatever. We don't need you inhibiting any of that because we're a liberal, satanic society. We will do as we will. That's what we desire to do. And that's a disgrace and an abomination before you. And that's why Ezekiel 18 and 30 is very, very important. I want you to come over here and about verse 26, 18:26. When a righteous man turn away from his righteousness and commit iniquity, he die of them. For his iniquity that he have done shall he die. Again, when the wicked man turn away from his wickedness that he have committed, and do that which is lawful and right, he shall save his soul alive. Going back to the fact that a good man shows favor because he would show pity, mercy, and compassion. Because he consider and turn away from all his transgressions that he have committed, he shall surely live, he shall not die. Yet saith the house of Yasharal, the way of the Lord is not equal. O house of Yasharal, are not my ways equal, or not your way in regards of equality? Everything's equality. You're a damn fool, you buy into that. I seen a young lady I went to school with. She was like, equality doesn't mean socialism. And I just found that funny because it does, you ignorant whore. And you were a whore because you're rebellious. You're rebellious against order and standard and morals and conducts and discipline. That's what makes you a whore, because you're a rebel. Again, being a whore sometimes has nothing to do by where you toss your vagina around to. Because you can go a whoring from under your God by chasing other gods, gods who have no discipline, no structure, no order, and allow chaos to ensue. See, these are things that you have to understand. See, you got to get out your feelings and stop getting caught up on terms and pay attention to how people are conducting themselves and how the way that they conduct themselves is a disgrace, a dishonor, a reproach, if you will. You have to get out of that. Niggas were so dumb that see, this is again, and the example of this election is the example why I keep telling you, if you want to destroy people, go for the women. And they went for the women because all our women were sitting around here with pearls and tucks on because that's what Kamala Harris wear. You know what I'm saying? It's a great day, HBCUs, all this type of stuff. You niggas idiots. You niggas get played. And I sat there and watched that American Skin movie last night, man. I think it's a disgrace and abomination before God because it's an insult to your intelligence. As a critically thinking and logical, three-dimensional thinking man, you would have been highly offended at that film because they were playing to your emotions with cliche rhetoric in order to inflame your emotions for you to go out here and act a fool and for you to continually play the victim and beg someone to love you, instead of having the gumption and the desire to stand upon your 10 toes and build something irregardless of their conduct, because I'm not concerned with your conduct. Because truth be told, in the matter of issues that our people face, police brutality is not even in the top 10 of things that we need to be concerned with. Because if you pay attention to the film, what got get shot is, number one, he did not listen to his daddy. Because his daddy told him to sit his behind down and put that phone down. But he got emotional, screaming about his rights. instead of listening to the instructions of his father. See, screw the police. In the construct of the narrative of the film, Dick could have just been spared of life if he just would have obeyed his father. See, that instance, you look at that from a three-dimensional aspect, is the reason why people perish and will burn in hell, because you do not listen to your father when your father is telling you that danger is awry. Sit your behind down and save your soul alive. But you thinking with your flesh and thinking, I can go over here and do this because you can't do this to me, and you die because you don't think that can happen to you. See, that's the deceit of the flesh versus listening to the discipline of your father. Because his father told him immediately, put that phone down and sit down. And he chose not to. He chose to yield to his flesh, and he died. Even the construct of the plan, nigga, you had no plan. For a bunch of people to say that this nigga was wrong, are you serious? Nigga, you risked other niggas' freedom and lives for a point? Nigga, that is emotional. No logical man would go along with such a folly of a plan. Yeah, we're going to go in there, bro, and we're going to make a mock trial, and we're going to have them come back and bring a guilty verdict that he killed my son. Nigga, is you serious? Is you serious? Nigga, you asking me to risk my life for that? Nigga, you got to be stupid. But see, it won't sound like that stupid to you when you are emotional, which is why they try to keep telling us, why they try to keep you in an emotional state. That's why they do that. That's why in that scene, when they were having their trial, everyone was emotional. No one was going to think logically in the midst of the matter. And see, who knew what he was doing? Because that movie supposed to came out 2 years ago in the midst of a whole bunch of other stuff going down, and he allowed that stuff to come out with this man, with whatever he had going with D-Ho. Because who knows what type of emotional response people would have had in that moment, at that time, with the things that were going on, if they saw that film. Because films are made to evoke and play on the emotion of the audience. That's what they're made for. That's why people get angry at a film, or sad at a film, or happy at a film. That's why people cry. That's why people speak to the film. It was pointless. But the point wasn't for the apology. The point was to stir the emotions of the audience. Because they want you to see black men as being emotional because Mr. White Man told me he's sorry. See, that's what it was about. Mr. White Man would give you a hug and tell you he's sorry. I'm not concerned with that. I don't need your sorry. I don't need your hug because I don't need nor seek nor desire your validation. You know what I'm saying? That's what we miss it. We don't pay attention to that because we're too quick to seek to be entertained and to talk about nothing. I'm talking about as men. As a man, if you watch that film and you paying attention to it from a three-dimensional perspective, you are offended. And then you have to realize who presented the film, Spike Lee. And I just seen this nigga post up that he around here playing the African deities. Man, you can't trust these people to tell no story about you in a fashion that's going to be realistic to the actual thoughts, pains, feelings, and emotions and desires that you actually possess. They're always going to show you from a subservient and weak position. The only way that they could show him being powerful was for him to stand up with some guns and run up in the police station. We actually supposed to believe that? And I seen people say this was a great film. How? How could you look at that and say that was great? That's a disrespect to you as a man. Your God in heaven sitting back looking at you niggas better not act like that. You think your forefathers would have did some junk like that? Look in the text. You think they care about that? Man, Yahushua walked around for 3.5 years. You ain't hear this man concerned about no Romans. They told him Herod gonna kill you. He said, go tell this fox this right here. I don't care nothing about no Herod, boy. Pay attention to the man. That man ain't say nothing about no Romans. He didn't care. He wasn't concerned with them. I don't care what they do. I don't care what they do to me. I'm not concerned with them. See, the mentality that we have is the mentality that your forefathers had in Egypt. You feared them people because you wanted to be them. Because you wanted to be them. See, come over here to Proverbs 3:31 real quick. Like, man, I know I done shared it with you before. I know I ain't gonna get off track, man. I just want y'all to understand that because that film pissed me off. I was offended. I was offended for every man who had ever been shot by the police at any time in any time of our history, that they relegated the thoughts and feelings of our people to cliche rhetoric in an argument. Cliche. It's disrespect. Because all of us know now, it's a lot of dudes been shot by the police, and them people was wrong. What's a lot of niggas out here, they be on some other type of time, boy. But it goes back to something that we were talking about that in the barbershop earlier that day before I even seen that film, and I done told you this before. Most of our people are raised by women. You see someone of authority and you react emotionally trying to fuck their authority, and the people ain't with it. And you do it because you watch people blackmail. So you feel like you can go in the world and fuck anybody's authority. And everybody ain't with it. Everybody ain't with it. And you shocked when you get resistance to see the example of that is the jit who was cussing out the police officer in his auntie house. See, that black man stood up and slapped jit. Oh, that's a black man. They showed you that because they wanted that to fly to your subconscious for you not to have respect for black male authority. That you could talk to an older black man any kind of way because you upset and nothing will happen to you. And then we like to say, oh, you gonna shoot me? Acting like a hoe. You ain't paying attention to that. Because that old black man should have walked up and slapped that young nigga dead in his face and told his officer, I don't pull no fire. This young nigga here owe me a fade. Oh, you got to give me a fade, young nigga, today. Because I don't know who you think you talking to, but you going to learn today. Go ahead, put your hands up, young nigga. Matter of fact, I'll let you throw the first one because I got your F nigga right here, boy. Because that'll be the first and the last time you ever disrespect a man twice your age in such a fashion. You punk, coward, bastard Jew. That's what he supposed to did. Knock that young nigga clean out. But see, we accustomed that you think you can talk to an older black man like that. Because your mama do it. Well, that junk ain't right. That junk ain't right. That junk is offensive. You ain't even peeping that, though. They're showing you weak and powerless. And the only thing you can do is throw an emotional tantrum. And then when it's over with, I'll take whatever sentence they give me. No, nigga, they going to peel your cap back. What? The brother said they going to turn your TV off, man. Proverbs 3:31, man. Envy not your oppressor and choose none of his ways. Now I want you to look at under oppressor is each kamas. And when you got there, right, you don't want to envy a man of violence, cruelty, or injustice. That's what that say, right? It says kana, ish, kamas, bakar, darak. So that's what you sit back and look at. Why are you envious and jealous of violent people? That's what that means, right? Envy not your oppressor. And choose none of his ways. And again, that word is kamas. Just so you know, it's kat, meme, and samak. So you got to sit back and look at when you grab hold to chaos, you definitely will be separated. You'll be separated unto that. These are people who do unrighteousness, who do violence, who do wrong. I want you to come to John chapter 10. So look at that. When you see oppressor, it's not oppressor in the sense that you thinking. He telling you not to envy violent men. Men who do wrong. See, come over here to John 10, right? Because you just heard what he said in repentance in Ezekiel 18. See, men who do that, they can't get the favor. They're not going to get the pity, the mercy, and compassion. This is also time where he governs his conduct by the judgment of Elohim. So when you govern your conduct by the judgment of Elohim, you're not going to envy a violent man. Matter of fact, pause. Before I get John chapter 10, come to Psalms 37. And this also tie into what we were talking about in regards to David and Saul, because David did not envy Saul. Saul was out here doing wrong. He was an oppressor, according to what that verse said. He was an Ish Kamas. This was a man of violence and injustice. Psalms 37. Psalms 37, 1, if you would. All this still gonna tie into Psalms 112. I promise you will. And see, the reason why I'm mentioning that I use that film as a backdrop, Joe Biden for another backdrop. These people did wrong. but you're desirous of them. See, this is the sad part that we done got to as a people. Yes, you live in America. Yes, you live in a foreign land, a land that is not yours, a land that was not created for your benefit or profit, whether you realize word or no word. But the thing that you would have to realize is you would have to stop looking to people who don't care anything about you. Stop petitioning them to support universities that they create. Stop asking them for programs to better your community when you could do it for yourself. See, you can never have power when you seek for someone to do your work for you. You can never have any strength, any respect. How do you expect your woman to respect you when you're asking another man to do your job for you? It's not the job of the United States government to set your children up. It's not their job to clean up your community. That's your job. But you can't do your job because no one respects you as an authority figure. So because no one respects you as an authority figure, you begin to feel down on yourself. So the only way that you feel like that you can be validated is to have the things of the people who do wrong. And you begin to be jealous of them when you don't even realize who's giving it to them. If you read the text that is to the devil say he gives that type of stuff to whomever he does by doing wrong. When I'm talking about doing wrong, I'm not even talking about doing wrong in regards to the accumulation of their wealth. They're doing wrong in the matter of fact of how they live their life and juxtaposition to the will, righteousness, word of the living Elohim. Because everybody who got money ain't did wickedness to get it. For us to open our mouth and say that, that's just a false dichotomy. You're just saying that to make yourself feel better because you don't have the wherewithal, the drive, or desire, or work ethic to do the same things that they did to accrue the wealth that they accrue. See, we have a propensity for that because we would rather say it's from other type of circumstances because you don't want to do the work. That's no different than people who see men who are muscular in the gym and say he on steroids because you didn't want to do the work for 10 years to get that physique. The same way now that some women say, oh, she went and bought that body because you too lazy to get your fat behind up off that couch and put them hot dogs down and go put some work in the gym. So that person has to get their results from some artificial means because of the reflection of you don't want to go put in the work. You don't want to make the sacrifices. You don't want to go through the pain. That's why people do that with people who are in the word. Individuals who don't believe the word, who are not willing to nail themselves to the cross and stake of Yahushua HaMashiach and bear about the marks of his death in their body. They're going to say this about you and that about you because they don't want to put in the work and make the sacrifices. Like it's no different. Because that's what a lot of stuff boils down to. People don't want to do what's necessary in order to achieve the things that they say that they want. You can't say you want a loving relationship and you're not willing to do the work. How do you say you want that? You're lazy. You want someone to hand it to you. You want someone to give it to you. You don't want to do what's necessary to acquire it. So don't expect what you don't work for. Now, Psalms 37:1. Fret not yourself because evildoers, neither be you envious against the work of iniquity. For they soon shall be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. Trust in Yahuwah and do good, so shall you dwell in the land. Truly you shall be fed. Delight yourself also in Yahuwah, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way unto Yahuwah, trust also in him. He shall bring it to pass, and he shall bring forth your righteousness as the light, and your judgment as the noonday. Rest in Yahuwah and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourself because of him who prosper in his way, because of the man who brings wicked devices to pass. Those are wicked thoughts, wicked plans. We ain't even supposed to seek these people's company. Now, I'm going to just read this here. Come on down some more, if you would. Well, I won't pick this up at. You know what? Praise the land. I pick it up at verse 21. Because remember, we already read that a good man show favor and lend. Look at what he said about the wicked. You can pick it up in Psalms 37, man. You can pick it up at 18, if you would. Say, Yahuwah know the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. They shall not be ashamed in the evil time. In the days of famine, they shall be satisfied. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of Yahuwah shall be as the fat of lambs. They shall consume, into smoke shall they consume away. Listen to what he said. He said, the wicked borrow and pay not again, but the righteous show and give mercy. Now we're going to look at borrow. You know, that's Levah. When you look at pay not again, you know what it is? It's shalom. That's a covenant of peace, to be at peace, to be complete, and to be sound. He said the wicked take, but they don't give you peace in turn. Think about that. Now we can go to John chapter 10. You hold Psalms 37, Psalms 112, and Ezekiel 18. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. John 10 and 7, if you would. Think about that for a second, right? It's Rasha, Levah, Shalom. So the evil, borrow, and no covenant, no completeness, no soundness. Again, that's Shalom. We've been seeing Shalom a lot lately. It's also to make good, to make whole, to restore, to make compensation. He's not going to pay you back. Let's look at it. As you said, Yahushua under John 10 and 7, unto them again, truly, truly, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved and shall go in and out and find pasture. The thief come not to, but for to steal, to kill, and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. The reason why we're looking at this here, right? Satan is coming to take, and he is not going to restore you or make you whole at all. He's not going to do it. Remember, the good man shows favor and lend. So the good man is going to show forth mercy and pity and compassion, while the wicked man is going to take your substance, not make you whole. He was a murderer from the beginning. See, pause. I call for Luke 5. Come on around here to it. Let's take a look. We'll get back to Ezekiel 18 in a moment. Matter of fact, we'll probably swing to Ezekiel 18 right after this Luke 5 because they congruent. Once you come over here to Luke chapter 5, verse 36. I want you to think about that. Because, see, again, I told you this last week. Satan will come and tempt you. He will tempt you with the things that it is that you desire. And he will take that. He ain't giving you nothing in return. See, Satan will give you what you desire. And in turn, he's going to take your life. And you ain't going to get no compassion, no pity, no salvation, nothing in return. You ain't going to get nothing in return. You got to sit back and look at that, right? See, Satan is not a servant because he's not going to serve you. He's going to take from you. Yahushua told you he did not come to be served, but to serve. Yahushua is not looking to take anything from you. He's looking to give unto you. This is one of the reasons why Paul say the father's supposed to lay up for the sons, not the sons for the fathers. The children ain't supposed to lay up to take care of the parents. The parents supposed to lay up to take care of the children. That's why the book tell you a father has an inheritance for his sons. That's not the way it's supposed to go. That's why you see some people who will sit back and say that they don't have any pity for people who are older who can't take care of themselves because they didn't make the proper decision. Now, of course, some people look at, well, that's harsh and this, that, and the third because of the construct of society, and I get that too, because a lot of people bought into a lie. I get that too. A lot of people bought into a lie. Also, a lot of people are irresponsible. A lot of people are irresponsible. See, there's a difference, right? Culturally, our people did this. And even without knowing that was in the word, I agree with it. If your people are physically incapacitated, meaning they have some manner of sickness, disease, whatever the case may be, you ought to take care of them, whether you're married or not. And it doesn't matter which one of y'all parents it is. That's just the just thing to do. But if a big grown Russian nigga is irresponsible with their funds, and they're sitting looking for you as the child to bail them out, you don't owe them that responsibility. You don't owe them that. It's not your responsibility to bail your father and mother out. If you choose to do it, that's just your choice, but that's not your responsibility. You don't owe them that. You don't owe them that because you should have been more fiscally responsible. It's not my job to take care of you. Not in that fashion because you chose to be an idiot. Why is that my problem? Why am I putting a strain on myself because you don't know how to govern yourself? That's not my problem. That's your problem. So people are like, how could you say that about your mom or your daddy? What do you mean? Nigga, you 40, 50, 60 years old and you mismanaged your money and that's my responsibility for me to bail you out? Niggas, you stupid as you dumb. It's not my responsibility. See, that's the difference of you have a sickness, you have an illness, there's something wrong with you. I'm taking care of you. I wouldn't put my people in no home if it was something that I could afford to keep them home and pay somebody to do it if it was outside the scope of what I could do. I wouldn't put my mom in no home. For what? Why would I do that? At the same token, it's not my responsibility to take care of her. That's to look at it. They ain't married. That you should have got a husband for that. If you choose to do it, that's your business. You're not doing nothing evil or nothing. But at the end of the day, that's supposed to have been your husband's job. Period, point blank. And then if you're a man, shoot, why is your sons or daughters taking care of you? Nigga, what have you been out here doing? See, we don't want to hear that because that means you have to put accountability on your parents for making bad decisions instead of sitting around being upset, talking to your spouse or other family member about what they're doing. Start to look them niggas in the face and tell them that. There ain't no disrespect. Shoot, nigga, you need to manage your money better. What is you doing? I got my own family. I got my own children. Nigga, what is you doing? You're not making sense right now. That's not my job. I don't owe you that. You know why you don't owe them that? Because you didn't ask to be here. It was their responsibility to care for you when you couldn't care for yourself. That's the point of if they're physically incapacitated, they can't care for themselves. So it's best that you return the favor. It's only right. It's only right. Now, of course, you got to take everything on a case by case basis, but you know what I'm talking about? But you got to take it for what it is. Like I say, it's harsh, but it is what it is. And that's the biggest problem amongst our people too. You don't want nobody to be harsh and give you an uncomfortable truth. You don't want nobody to do that. That's just like if my sister wouldn't have been married and she chose to have, because I just heard a lady on the show say, man, she got 4 kids from 4 different men. As her brother, if that's my sister, it's not my responsibility to help her take care of them children that she was irresponsible with her vagina. That's not my responsibility. You should have been more responsible for who you let leave their seed in your womb. And you should not have produced children that you did not have a man who was in lockstep with you in order to care for, and then think that you're going to push that responsibility on me because we share the same DNA makeup. Absolutely not. That is not my responsibility. That's your responsibility. Because I feel like this. See, I didn't tell you this before. And I say this in this fashion because I just told my little homie this the other day. I say it in this fashion to be as vulgar as possible so that they could understand how asinine it is for the request. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you come and asking for me to do something for any woman in your family, then I guess I would have to need to break her back because I'm going to have sex with her. Because anybody who I'm taking care of on a consistent basis that I'm not having sex with makes absolutely no sense. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not going to put my life and freedom on the line for a woman in your family, homegirls or nothing. Absolutely not. And I say it in that fashion because you see how silly that sounds. Because where is her man at? That's his job. And it's not mine. I'm not doing it. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not doing it. Absolutely not. I ain't hitting them yams. What am I doing that for? And why do I say that? Because that's how you will look at people who call upon him, but not of his household. What I look like take care of you. You don't belong to me. Why I say that? Because when we read that Genesis 19, when Lot's daughter's husbands rejected that word, you see that he ain't mentioning them no more. You don't get the extension. Amen. Amen. You don't get the extension of the salvation. because you mocked it. You took it for a joke. And you still think I'm supposed to give it to you because you're irresponsible? Absolutely not. That's one of the biggest problems amongst our people. You reward irresponsible conduct. It is not my duty and job to reward you for being irresponsible. Because when you do that, that teaches the person that they can remain irresponsible because someone will save them. They'll be like, well, where's the pity, mercy, and compassion on that? It's not even about not showing pity and mercy and compassion. You can't be no fool. Because sometimes you have to let an individual suffer the consequences of their choices. And it just is what it is. You understand? But come on over here, let's read this here. This John, Luke chapter 5, verse 36. And he spake also a parable unto them, no man put a piece of a new garment upon an old. If otherwise, then both the new rent and the piece that was taken out of the new agree not with the old. See, now, of course, right? When we're looking at that, we talked about that Wednesday. You're looking at Moses came with the law, Yahushua came with mercy and reliability. He came with mercy and faithfulness. Moses came with instruction versus Yahushua with mercy and faithfulness. So the new, it don't agree with the old, which is why you seen the first covenant, he threw it down and broke it. And then he made two new tables of stone, and then his face began to shine because this new, it's not the same as the old. They don't go together. One is better than the other. But see, we get so caught up when you hear that type of statement that you thinking you disregarding the law because you think too simplistically. You think it on a two-dimensional level. You're not looking at it from the aspect of everything surrounding that concept. Because if it's a covenant that's greater than the other, the covenant is still made up of the same information that the first one was made of. The difference is that the first one left no room for mercy and faith. The first one left no room for pity and compassion. It wasn't there. It said if you broke it, your blood was upon you. That's what we missing. That is why the word is stagnant amongst Jews right now. Because the law itself, it can't produce that mercy and faithfulness that you seeking. So I pop up and I've been around here worshiping idols, that's death to me. That's not mercy to me for you to tell me that. See, the Grace Brothers, you got the time to see, they give the concept wrong. It's mercy, pity, and compassion. You're getting the mercy from the opportunity to actually hear that someone has offered themselves on your behalf, that you might turn from what you're doing, that you might fear him. There's an offer of forgiveness. As it says in Psalms, there's forgiveness with him that you might fear him, because if he numbered transgressions, who would stand? No one. No one. Nevertheless. And no man put new wine in the old bottles, unless the new wine burst the bottles and be spilled, the bottle shall perish. A new wine must be put into new bottles, and both are preserved. No man having drunken old wine straightway desire the new, for he saith the old is better. See, when you have to come on there and taste that faith, them boys say that law better, man. What I don't want nothing to do with that. I don't want nothing to do with that. I don't want nothing to do with that. He's like they told him in John 9, well, we know Moses. Who is this guy? Dudes who even say they believe in Yahushua, they still got that thinking. Who is this guy? You understand? Man, Ezekiel 18. Because I'd be out here around here shocked by what black folks doing. I don't know for what. You should already knew all that good stuff was coming. Well, I thought that, man. Ezekiel 18:28. No, I was in 29. So Ezekiel 18 and 30. Therefore, I will judge you, O house of Yasharal, every one of you according to his ways, saith Yahuwah Elohim. Repent and turn yourselves from all your transgressions. So iniquity, Therefore, I will judge you, O house of Yasharal, everyone according to his way, saith Yahuwah Elohim. Repent and turn yourselves from all your transgressions, so iniquity shall not be your ruin. Cast away from you all your transgressions whereby you have transgressed. Make you a new heart and a new ruach. For why will you die, O house of Yasharal? For I have no pleasure in him, in the death of him that dies, saith Yahuwah Elohim. Wherefore turn yourselves and live you. Now notice, right, you'd have to make a new heart and a new spirit. It means that would need a necessitate of a conversion, or to put new wine in a new bottle. Because you're going to have to be born again in order for that ruach to see. If you're the same wicked person and you put that ruach in you, that's going to kill you, boy. There's no way that you could exist with that inside of you and you be evil. Just on the off chance that he would dispense it. And your example of that is, see Paul. See, come over here to 1 Samuel 10, 1 Samuel 9, right? See, this is what happened. This is a good example of this, I believe. Might be chapter 10. It's chapter 10, everybody. I was right first. So 1 Samuel chapter 10. You can pick it up at verse 5. Get straight to the point. Let's read verse 1. Let's start with that verse. And then Samuel took a vial of oil and poured it upon his head and kissed him and said, is it not because Yahuwah have anointed you to be captain over his inheritance? We're looking at Saul being anointed with oil, aka anointed with the Ruach. Drop down to verse 5. It says, and you shall come to the hill of Elohim, where is the garrison of the Philistines. It shall come to pass when you are come hither to the city, you shall meet a company of prophets coming down from the high place with the psaltery and the tabret, a pipe, a harp before them, and they shall prophesy. And the Ruach of Yahuwah will come upon you. Now let's look at what it says when it say he'll be turned into another man. Now, when this one here, you got turned, you have a fak, a sir, an ish. So when we look at a fak, that means, of course, he's going to be changed into transform. Hey, pay, and ka. So you could behold, or you could see that the word subdues, or that you could sit that the Yahusha was subdued by the word. This is what will come and change and transform an individual. Or as it tells you in Romans, you'll be conformed to the image of the Son. But the only way that you can be changed and transformed, as we just seen in Luke chapter 5 and Ezekiel 18, is that you would have to repent. And if you repented, that means you were subdued. Why were you subdued? Because you took up your stake and you followed him and you crucified yourself with Mashiach. See, Paul, come over here to Galatians 6, if you would. That's what's ringing in my mind in regards to what I'm saying, why I keep mentioning that part about you crucifying yourself with him. So let's go ahead and look at it. Galatians 6, you can pick it up at verse 12. Galatians 6 and 12. Come on, ball head. Oh. Galatians 6 and 12. As many as desire to have fair show in the flesh, they constrain you to be circumcised, lest they should suffer the persecution for the sake of Mashiach. For neither they themselves who are circumcised keep Torah, but desire to have you circumcised, that they may esteem in your flesh. But Elohim forbid I should esteem, saving the cross of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, by whom the world is crucified unto me, and I unto the world. For in Mashiach Yahushua neither circumcision avail anything, nor uncircumcision, but a new creature. And as many walk according to this rule, shalom be on them, and mercy upon the Yasharal Elohim. From henceforth, let no man trouble me. I bear in my body the marks of the Lord Yahushua. See, this is the thing. Notice that he said a new creature. See, if you're going to suffer for the Lord's sake, you're going to be ostracized. The individuals don't want that. So you have to look at it this right this here, right? You can be able to serve Elohim and receive a throne and reign with him, By abdicating the throne of sin, as it says in Psalms 94, about 20, does he have a fellowship with the throne of iniquity? See, a lot of people don't want to abdicate the throne of wickedness in this world. You want to stay attached to it. You stay want to rule in wickedness, and that's not how this gonna work. You're gonna have to abdicate the throne the same way that the Lord did, and you're gonna have to climb up on that tree and die. That's what individuals don't want to do. Because see, that ruach come upon you is going to change you. It's supposed to change you into another person. See, it can't, because if it exists in you and you still the same person, that's going to kill you. That's what happened to Saul. So now when we look at another, of course, that's our sir that's following after. So he was supposed to be transformed into another man. Let's drop down some more. Verse 9. Well, I want verse 9. Psalms 112. I feel like I'm missing the verse that I was at. It bothers me. And I was. We'll keep on. We can write down here to verse 7. I know I wasn't tripping. And he said, let it be when these signs are come unto you, that you shall do as occasion serve you, for Elohim is with you. When we look at occasion, that's matzah, and that is to find or to attain or to come upon or to encounter or be discovered. Is that there in the third? And you shall go down before me to Gilgal, and behold, I will come down unto you to offer burnt offerings, to sacrifice sacrifices of peace offerings. 7 days shall you tarry till I come to you and show you what you shall do. And it was so when he had turned his back to go from Samuel, Elohim gave him another heart, and all those things came to pass that day. Of course, he got a flock again, a Asur and Leb. He gave him another heart. But then we would have to look at what heart did he give him? Because this is what Samuel told him to wait 7 days, and Saul didn't wait. Because even when he poured that ruach in you, if them inward parts ain't clean, it's going to cause that bottle to perish. And that's what happened to Saul. He perished because he did not make a new heart and a new spirit. He tried to put new wine in an old bottle, and it cost him his life. That's why it's imperative for you to make the bottle new, to make yourself new. You cannot be the same person. And what are we talking about? The same person having the same mentality, same mindset. You cannot keep it and expect to live. Because the good man is coming to show favor and lend to mercy, pity, and compassion. He's coming. He's already came and done that. It's not even that a reprobate mind. He gave him another mind, or gave him another heart, a mind to operate with, but he chose to operate with the mind that he already had. He chose to operate with the mind that he already had. And then the end, he doesn't become reprobate until you who rejects him. You rate until the man rejects you. Once he rejects you, that's is when you are reprobate, as it tells you in Jeremiah chapter 6. You could say at that point he was a son of Belial because he was worthless and useless, but he wasn't reprobate yet. He gave him another heart, but that other heart that he gave him, he chose not to listen to. He chose to listen to his own mind in his own way. That's why you can't put new wine in old bottles, because he gave him the spirit, but that mind wasn't right. That's why you got to make yourself a new heart, a new spirit. You got to have a new mind and a new spirit. It's the only way that you're going to live. You can keep on thinking that you can think and be the same way and think, well, I don't eat pork and I keep Sabbaths and I keep them feasts, and you're going to be straight and you're going to lift your eyes up in hell. And you're going to know why you're there, but it's still going to be a shock to you. You have to transform. Let's just look at the English definition of transform. just for kicks. Now, what is that? To make a thorough or dramatic change in the form, appearance, or character of a metamorphosis, a transmute, a convert, to transmogrify, to transfigure, to change into a different thing, a major change in form, nature, or function. Praise the Lamb. And that takes us back to Psalms 112, because he said, a good man will guide his affairs with discretion. Remember, that is the bar mishpat. Let's come over here to Luke chapter 2. See, when you're a good man, you're going to guide your manner of life according to the judgment of the word. That's what you're going to do. See, that again, take it to the point that if you're going to guide your affairs or your manner of your debar mishpat, if you're going to do that, your judgment is based off the word, which means that doesn't neglect the law, doesn't toss the law out of the way. That's common sense. If you're moving by judgment or discerning what is right and what's wrong, what are you judging it against? Well, of course, you're going to have to judge it from the instructions that your father gave you, not off your own judgment. That's why the text tell you not to lean on your own understanding or your own insight, or to lean on your own emotions, but to let Yahuwah guide you. Emotions are going to do nothing but guide you to death. They're going to guide you to folly. They're going to guide you to untenable situations and circumstances that you're going to find yourself in and want somebody to save you from. See, that's one of the biggest problems, is that everybody wants somebody to come clean up a mess. Everybody's not going to come and clean up your mess. You know what the worst part is that we make messes. And when there was somebody that's sent to you to clean up the mess, i.e. Yahushua HaMashiach, you reject them and accept murderers. Man, let me tell you something. Niggas is crazy. You understand what I say? Niggas is crazy. Because the very people, and it was funny, right? Because I seen the clip already, but my homeboy shared the clip from the dude with a manosphere highlights daily of why women like bad dudes, and just hearing these women talk. That's Yasharal, the person who pay you no attention, person who treats you the best, who treats you the worst, and don't validate you because you want to change them and chase after them. That's what they did, running after other gods in the nations who he told you not to run after. Because them people weren't paying you no mind. The people didn't care about you. But yet you loved their dirty draws and chased them down. Because you wanted to feel like you were great in their eyesight. When there was a man standing there who literally gave his life for you. And he had seen you great in his eyesight when you were not worthy to even be beheld. And you rejected that for a murder. And people think that you're not going to do it again. That's the part that tripped me out. We need to come together as a nation. You lying to me. You lying to me. Because the last time we came together as a nation, you killed God, nigga. That's what happened the last time we came together as a people. You killed Elohim, boy. Let that sit back and rest in your mind for a moment. The last time we came together as a people, you killed Elohim and said, let his blood be on our descendants. Let his blood be on our progeny. And then decided to persecute the individuals who spoke in his name. And you really want me to believe in so-called 2021 that mind and spirit doesn't exist? You want me to believe that? I had my mammy if I believe that. I had my mammy if I believe that. And I don't care who don't like it. Well, I had my mammy if I believe that. So did. Luke chapter 2, man. And if you got offended by that, and I ain't saying none of y'all listening may be offended by that, if so, so be it. It could be somebody see that later, then you probably one of the people who ready to kill somebody for standing for the Lord. Because they gonna roll with it. You feel like, how you gonna say that, man? We are righteous people. You lying to me. Everybody in this people ain't righteous. You lying to me. Who you fooling with that? See, I ain't gonna tell you no lie, man. A lot of Brews are panda bears too. A lot of Hebrews be pandering to their base, pandering to their audience, telling people what they want to hear in order to gain followers, status, and wealth. Well, I don't pander to nobody. I don't care. Ain't been doing it, ain't finna start. For what? This is not a popularity contest. This is an esteemed Yahuwah contest. And it ain't even no competition. Because everybody who say they labor for him, their duty and job is to do the same thing, to esteem Yahuwah at all costs, even unto death. And not just in word, but in deed and in truth, in faithfulness, in reliability, and in steadfastness. You're supposed to esteem this man. That's what matters. The more he's esteemed, the more opportunities souls return unto him. That's the objective. I think we seem to have forgotten that. The objective is for souls to return, that their sins might be remitted, that they might live. That is the objective. That's why the text say, he that wins souls is wise. Who you winning them to? To Yahuwah. For what cause? For their sins to be forgiven, so they might receive life. Not by telling them they're Israelite and giving them a name, telling them to put on some garments, to put on elaborate shows and showcases. When people's souls are going to perish, you thinking you could put new wine in an old bottle, that bottle going to perish, boy. The people going to die. And it's going to be your fault. Luke 2:41. We just look at this young man gathering his fares with discretion, if you will. Now, his parents went to Jerusalem every year about the feast of the Passover. When he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast. And when they had fulfilled the days as they returned, the child Yahushua tarried behind in Jerusalem. And Joseph and his mother knew not of it. They, supposing him to have been in company with a day's journey, and they sought him among their kinfolk and acquaintance. When they found him not, they turned back again to Jerusalem, seeking him. It came to pass that after 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the doctors, both hearing them and asking them questions. All that heard him were astonished at his understanding and answers. And when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why have you thus dealt with us? Behold, your father and I have sought you sorry. He said unto them, How is it that you sought me? Wished you not that I must be about my office business? They understood not the saying which he spake unto them. And he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was subject unto them. His mother kept all these sayings in her heart. Yahushua increased in wisdom and stature and favor with Elohim and man. But this is the thing, right? That he was in subjection to them. This is the first instance and the only chronicling of his adolescence, of beginning of him guiding his affairs with discretion, with judgment, because he knew what he was on the planet to do. But he said, you know what? My father gave me a commandment, what I should say and what I should do. And I know his commandment is life everlasting. And he commanded me to be subject unto my father and mother. Now look at the level of humility here. I created you and her. I created you and her. You understand that? I want you to sit there and think about that for a moment. I created you and her. And I am subjecting myself to your authority when I'm greater than you. Because this is what my father instructed me to do, which is in turn what I instructed you to do. How could I turn around and say that I'm the living Elohim and not even follow what I told you to do? See, this is how you guide your affairs or your custom or your manner of life according to judgment. Because, see, he's subject to authority even while he is Lord of all. That's what Paul wrote and told us about, did he not? Let's look at another case of him governing his affairs with discretion. Which one will I choose? You know what? No, I ain't gonna do that because that's gonna take. Uh, I don't want to use, but screw it. Luke 19 and 45. It's quick, it's smooth. You'll know the story. It's just not in great detail. We'll look at a couple witnesses on that and then we'll move on. A fourth is him guiding his affairs according to the judgment of the word. And he went into the temple. This is Luke 19 and 45, and began to cast them out that sold therein, and them that bought, saying unto them, it is written, my house is a house of prayer, yet you have made it a den of thieves. He taught daily in the temple, but the chief priests and scribes and the chief of the people sought to destroy him and could not find what they might do, for the people were very attentive to hear him. Now, of course, y'all know about, him whooping them and all this, that, and the third. But, this is rooted in Isaiah 56 and Jeremiah chapter 7. That they turned the house of Elohim into a den of thieves. Now, what is the purpose of this? This is him cleansing out the temple, casting out the things that defiled the house. This is a man who's governing his affairs according to the judgment of Elohim, because he told you don't bring the price of a whore into the house of Elohim. Let's take a look at that. I think is that Deuteronomy 23? I think that Deuteronomy. Yep. 23 and 18, if you would. We'll pick it up at 17 on general principle. Now, of course, y'all know the word whore. It's a different word for whore in Deuteronomy 23:17. It is kadasha, a female devotee, i.e. prostitute, harlot, a female temple prostitute, or harlot. This is the word that is used in Genesis 38 and 21 in regards to what Judah thought Tamar was, but that's another conversation for another day. But it says, there shall be no whore of the daughters of Yasharal, nor sodomite of the sons of Yasharal. So let me give you an example of a female temple prostitute. Any black woman who's ever joined a sorority and hung out at a sorority house and did anything of an ungodly fashion while she was there, you, my love, would be by definition a female temple prostitute, a whore or a harlot. You ain't got to like it. It is what it is. You a Sakof Benofo. That's what you is on the college campus at the sorority house, getting deflowered for the opportunity to worship a false deity, whether you knew that's what you were doing or not. At the end of the day, you a female temple prostitute. See, that's the thing too, right? Because a lot of black people decided because Kamala the Great, that great wrestler, not a vice president of the United States of America, she old sorority hoe. You think I'm supposed to respect that? I don't respect that. She only get respect because she holds high political office, and that's what the word tells us to do. So that means if you saw her in person, that you would give her respect due to the office that she holds. But as far as her as an individual, I have no respect for you. I have no respect for you at all. You're a temple prostitute whore. And what do our people run around happy about it? I'm a Delta. I'm such and such. You're a fool. You're unlearned and you're stupid. You're around here, you're doing stuff. You went on these people's campus and you felt like that's what you were supposed to do because somebody set something up for you to do something outside of yourself. When most of y'all who went to college, y'all know what happened in the fraternity and sorority houses. All manner of debauchery. Now, when you doing it, you young, so you think you're just having a good time. It's just that in the third, you ain't paying attention to it. But then you would have to ask yourself, if this is supposed to be an elite place of education and learning for the crafting and molding of minds in order to be the future leaders of the world, why would they even allow these type of events to go on their campuses in most locations? Why would they co-sign it? We know why they co-sign it. And it's a myriad of reasons. But of course, when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, you're not asking yourself that. Seems like the cool thing to do. Your friends are doing it. You've heard stories, maybe your family members in it, and they telling you, you got to go pledge. First thing you're supposed to know, you got to go pledge. I mean, you got to go take an oath, boy. Why you swearing to be a part of something? These are things, but see, that's where your daddy come in at. These are things that you're supposed to be told on so that you could critically pause and think when these things are presented to you. See, that's a lot of things that we don't do, is you don't critically think when opportunities are presented to you. That's how you get got. It look good, it sound good, it feel good, I'm gonna do it. Versus, why are you asking me to do? What is the purpose of it? What is the rhyme? What is the reason? People just don't come. See, people just don't come and offer things for you. See, a lot of things, a lot of people get caught up when they get upset is that, of course, people ask and do things according to their self-interest. So, okay, if you know somebody's coming to ask you to do something according to their self-interest, then you shouldn't feel ashamed that if you seek to how that will benefit and profit you, if it's going to benefit and profit them. If it's that type of situation and circumstance. Because that's doing business. Now, of course, some situations, hey, man, you don't need to do business. You need to be merciful and compassionate. But you're supposed to have enough wisdom to know the difference. You know, somebody coming to you saying they hungry, can you help me? Of course, it's in their self-interest. They're hungry. Of course, you shouldn't be negotiating good terms with that. You should have mercy. This is what I told you before. Doing what is right, you shouldn't feel good about doing what is right. You should do it because it's the right thing to do. Because I feel so good helping people out. Why? Is there a level of pride going on with you, son? You shouldn't feel anything other than compassion and mercy and show that on that person and going about your day because you did what was the right thing to do. If you knew the man was hungry and you had the ability to feed him, why does that make you feel good on the inside? You have to ask yourself that. Why does that make you feel good on the inside? What are you lacking that doing what is right makes you feel good versus this is just the right thing to do and this is what I do every time I'm faced with that situation? You think Yahusha walked around and made me feel good to feed these people these loaves of bread and fish? He said, no, man, they're going to faint in the way. Man, I can't have these people do that. The right thing for me to do is to feed them. When David sat back and he did what he did for the people by breaking down the stuff evenly and giving everybody a good piece of flesh and a flagon of wine, he didn't say, oh, this makes me feel good. This is the just thing to do. So this is what I'm going to do. This is, again, when this stuff becomes a part of your character, or most importantly, that you have the heart of Elohim. You think Elohim feel good for doing what is just? He does what's just because he's just. It's really that simple. Nevertheless, Deuteronomy 23:17, there shall be no whore of the daughters of Yasharal, nor a sodomite of the sons of Yasharal. If you don't know what the sodomite is, it's the shortened version. It's Kadash. That's a male temple prostitute. A male devotee. So if you was in that fraternity house pledging, you was a male temple prostitute. See, that don't mean no homo stuff either, man. Don't mean no homo stuff. Everything ain't got to be no homo stuff. I know I crack a lot of jokes about that jump, but in all seriousness, everything don't be no homo stuff. The homo stuff is just a means of embarrassment and shame of why they do that, and dominance. And that stuff goes back to Egyptian stuff and a whole bunch of other stuff. They do that stuff as a means of, they humble the man, therefore I have power over you and I have some level of shame over you to control you. Because you're not going to want anyone to know that you participated in such a debaucherous activity. You know what I'm saying? That's the purpose of it, being serious about it. Crack jokes about it because you ought to be laughed at. You allowed another man to humble you. Men do humbling. You never get humbled. You only get humbled by Elohim. You don't need to get humbled in the biblical sense. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't want to get humbled like that. That's not good. So when we look at it in the aspect of just taking just the aspect of homosexuality and prostitution per se, and you look at what the whore and sodomite is, these were people who participated in I'm gonna pronounce the word wrong, so I need to see how it's pronounced and then give you the definition for it, because that word is not in the text. So the word is used as lascivious idolatry, as it was described with someone who's a male temple prostitute or kadash. So that's someone who lacks moral restraints and disregards sexual restraints. They have a disregard for strict rules or correctness. This is a person whose behavior is driven strictly by the thoughts of sex. Another word for it is lasciviousness that most people are accustomed to. Most people, instead of lasciviousness, you could consider you're more known with lasciviousness. But this is somebody who has no sexual restraint. That's why I said if you look at somebody who's in a fraternity or sorority house, they would be an example of a whore or a sodomite or male and female temple prostitutes. Because those of you who've been in a fraternity or sorority house know that these people cast away all manner of sexual restraint in any regard for rules. As far as standard of conduct is concerned. You know, these people committed many, many orgies and many, many other questionable sexual activities in the guise of fun, not understanding that when you were in that fraternity house or sorority house, you were in a house of worship, unbeknownst to you. Because these are Greek deities that they're dealing with. You understand? And this is not to disparage anybody who has pledged or been a part of that. It's just stating it is what it is. It is what it is. I don't begrudge you for participating in a fraternity or sorority in your youth. Why wouldn't you have done it? It was the thing to do. It's fourth is when you go to college. That's what most people are told to do. For the connections and the camaraderie and all that other stuff. It look good on your resume and things of that nature. I get all of that. But with information comes wisdom. With wisdom comes understanding. With understanding comes reproof. Simple as that. That's all it is. Verse 18, you shall not bring the hire of a whore or the price of a dog into the house of Yahuwah your Elohim for any vow. But even both of these are an abomination unto Yahuwah Elohim. So, of course, you know. Now, when you got whore, you have your regular word for whore. You have zanah. Don't bring no price of no woman and no prostitution who committed adultery or who is unfaithful to Elohim in here. Don't bring that in here. And that's what you've seen with those people who were selling in the temple. They were bringing the price of a whore into the house because these people were not faithful to Elohim. That's why he had to cleanse it and get them up out of there. Let's look at the price of a dog. Now, of course, that's simply word. Now, you look at dog, right? Kaleb. You think about it. Of course, it's dog literal, but it's also contempt or abasement or pagan sacrifice of a male temple prostitute. What do you see these men in this temple doing? They were prostituting themselves by selling their wares, and they were bringing the price of a dog in here as well. Because remember, Paul, who remembers why they were selling in the temple? I always have to ask y'all this here for you to remember the specifics of the law. Why were they selling in that temple? Who remembers? I got time. Y'all can swing your pages back to Psalms 112, but I need somebody to tell me why, and I need you to be specific. Don't give me nothing general. I need you to be specific as you possibly can. That don't mean I need you to give me book, chapter, and verse if you can't recall all that. That's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking for you to be specific as you possibly can and why they were selling in that temple. Right, Kira. I appreciate you, young lady. I appreciate you, young lady. It was Passover, feast time. They know everybody can't bring their sacrifices, and they can take what they have and bind it up for money and come and purchase whatever their heart desires. That's why they were selling in that temple. And they knew that. And they came in there for them people to bring in there the price of a whore in that house. I want you to think about that for a moment and see how these people broke that law and why he had to come in there and do that and told them this is a house of prayer. You done made it a den of thieves. You done made this a whole house. This ain't no whole house. This ain't no whole house. Psalms 112. Psalms 112. Just something to think about. Just pause and consider. Oh, I need another example of him. I need one more witness. I'm sorry. I am guiding his affairs with discretion. Go to the book of Mark. What should we use? Mark chapter. Do we want that? I don't want that. Don't want that one. I'll use this one. Mark chapter 10. Anyone, if you would. Why not? To be the last one to show that how Yahushua was. We've already dealt with that. He's a good man who showed favor and lends. Now we're looking at how he guides his affairs or debar mishpat, or his affairs with discretion. Mark 10:1. He arose from thence and came into the coast of Yehuda by the farther side of Jordan. The people resort unto him again as he was wont. He taught him again. The Pharisees came to him and asked him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife, tempting him? Pause. So, of course, you see, Deuteronomy 24:1. Y'all know that. They're asking him, tempting him. That means that they're seeking to see if he is going to conduct himself according to the judgment of Elohim. That's what I need y'all to understand every time you see them tempting him. They're trying to see if he is going to go outside of the word. These wicked men know what the words say, but they want to see, will he come up with his own doctrine? Remember, he says, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. Any man who do his will know whether the doctrine is mine or whether I speak of myself or I speak of him that sent me. He said, he that seeketh his own esteem, there's unrighteousness in him. But he that seeketh the esteem of him that sent him, the same is true, and there's no unrighteousness in him. Let's continue. He answered and said unto them, what did Moses command you? See the smoothness right here? He kept it with the word. What the word say? See, that's how you deal with dudes who ask you questions like that. You ask them what the book say. And they said Moses suffered to write a bill of divorcement and to put her away. So they say, see, the law say, I can divorce her. Yahushua answered and said unto them, for the hardness of your heart, he wrote you this precept. From the beginning of creation, Elohim made them male and female. We know this from Genesis 5:1. Male and female created he them and called their name Adam. Now let's sit back and pause. Eve sinned. She rebelled. We have already discussed this a few weeks back, according to what's in 1 Timothy 2:14. Did we not? She was in the transgression. So he easily could have cast her away and made him another wife. He could have there was uncleanliness found in her. Paul, come on around here and look at it, man. I need you to understand the greater concept of what we're discussing. Come on back over here to 1 Timothy 2:14. Because if you think we just talking about regular Eve, a woman, you sadly mistaken. If you're not going to pay attention to the concept of the mercy, goodness, and salvation of Elohim, then again, this ain't the place for you. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 13. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. So pause. We know the woman is the one who is in the rebellion. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith, love, kadoshness with sobriety. We discussed that. We seen that he saved Yahusha in the same fashion, the same way that he's going to save a woman when she's bringing forth children, as long as she maintains the love and faith and set apartness with the sound mind and Elohim. Let me make sure I get that right word for sobriety, because it escapes my mind at this time, and we do not want to be incomplete. Of course, when we're dealing with sobriety, self-control. So when we sit back and look at it, this woman is going to have self-control. This woman is going to love Elohim. This woman is going to have faith in Elohim. She's going to be set apart with her discipline. And again, see, it's an aspect, a lot of people don't like it, but it is what it is. Women are not naturally disciplined people. Because since they are emotional, they tend to move by the constructs of their emotion, and therefore that is why they tend to not desire structure and order and like the chaos. That was another instance of what one of the ladies said. That's why they like the excitement, the drama, this, that, and the third. They don't like that the structure. That's why a lot of women don't like the word, because it's confined, the strictness to it. You have to be reined in. A lot don't like to be reined in. That comes from having a father. If you have a father, he's going to have a structure. He's going to have order. He's going to have discipline that you have to operate in. And he's not going to bend or budget. A lot of you young ladies didn't have a father, or your father kind of let you do what you wanted to do. You didn't have anything that you didn't have a program that you had to fit in according to the constructs of what he said, and that you would be chastised if you did not stay in it. And when I'm talking about chastised, I'm not talking about beating you. I'm talking about checking you, correcting you, reproving you, but letting you know that you're getting out of bounds. See, this is what Yahuwah consistently and constantly does. He lets you know when you're getting out of bounds. We don't see that as love, because you've been allowed to do what you want, so you don't like being checked, to be reined in. Because I know in my lifetime, I heard plenty of women say that. The excitement, they like the chaos. There is no order in chaos. That's why they have that term that the elite use, order out of chaos. Because they can bring the confusion and come and bring in what they want to bring out of the confusion through the emotional manipulation. Because that's the only thing that's going to go on with excitement. That's emotional. That means that's easy manipulation and control. When someone is structured and disciplined, there is no manipulation. And when most women in this day and time, men as well, say, see, you trying to control me. See, no one can control you, because you either can get in or get out. See, someone who keeps you in chaos is actually controlling you, because they're controlling you through the manipulation of your emotions. But you don't perceive it as manipulation because of the exhilarating thrill that you're getting from having your emotions stimulated. Someone who is structured and disciplined is not seeking to appeal to your emotions. They're seeking to appeal to logic and construct. And because that is not an appealing concept, because it is perceived as boring, when it is highly beneficial to success, people reject you trying to control me. Again, if you run across anybody who was strict and disciplined and had order, they never tried to control anyone. They say, this is what it is, and this is what it ain't. And you either rolling with it or you not. They don't try to force you to do it. For what? I already know it works. So I don't need to force you to do it. You'd have done it. If you can't see that this works and this is going to be profitable for you, then go out here and be destroyed. That's what people who have structure, order, and discipline do. I'm not controlling you. Controlling you for what? For what? I already know this work. I already know the profit that comes from it. You know how I know? Because it's been profitable to me. So I don't need to force you to be profitable for yourself. Go out here and kill yourself, you dummy, and don't you come back knocking on the door talking about I should have listened. But you know what ends up happening? When you come back knocking on the door saying you should have listened, you get mercy, pity, and compassion, because that's what Yahuwah does. And that's what most people of structure and order and discipline extend as well. But that's another conversation for another day. Genesis chapter. And that's the crazy part. The people who the strictest and have the most order are the most compassionate and the most merciful. The people who are chaotic and free have the least understanding, lack empathy, and have no concern with your destruction. Just like what it read, he come to steal, kill, and destroy. And he gonna walk off and say, shoot, ain't nothing to do with that. Most of y'all know that if you've been affiliated with anybody, male or female, friend, what you call it, significant other, whatever the case may be, if they were chaotic and disorderly and undisciplined, that when things fell apart, they ain't had no mercy for you. Not nan tap. They ain't care. They was out of there and left you down there looking stupid. Genesis chapter 3, verse, I don't need verse 5. Let's get on straight on to the point. Come on over here to verse 10. And he said, I heard your voice in the garden. I was afraid because I was naked and I hid myself. He said, who told you you was naked? Have you eaten of the tree wherever I commanded you that you should not eat? The man said, the woman you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree and I did eat. Yahuwah Elohim said unto the woman, what is this that you have done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me and I did eat. This is a case in point of why we came here, right? You can go get Genesis 5:1, read it for yourself. Genesis chapter 1 by verse 26, 27, read it for yourself. You come back over here to Mark chapter 10. He said, for the hardness of your hearts, he wrote you this precept. From the beginning of creation, Elohim made them male and female. He could have easily gave Eve a bill of divorce and got another woman, but he did not. That is not what happened. Because in the end of the day, let's come on back over here to verse 7 of Mark chapter 10. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. Understand that his father is Yahuwah. In regards to Adam, his mother was the Adamah, or the ground. He left from them to cleave to Eve. This is what he stated once Eve was removed from his rib. You can read this in Genesis chapter 2. And they twain shall be one flesh, and so then they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore Elohim have joined together, let no man put asunder. See, now we were talking about this the other day because a lot of women, most of these women not in the word, always say, God gonna send me a man. He's not. He is not. He ain't gonna send you nobody. You know what I'm saying? For the most part. Now, does Elohim bring people together? Absolutely, he does. But what he does is he put people in situations and circumstances that they run across one another in order for the fulfilling of his will and purpose. See, when a lot of people say God gonna send them a husband, most of these people don't serve Elohim. So, and the reason why I say that, because we have examples of that. Yahuwah had David come across Abigail for the purpose because he had already intended that he was going to give this wise and understanding woman to a man who was after his own heart. The same token with Rebecca getting married to Isaac, she was at that particular location because Yahuwah had already determined that he was going to give that woman to Isaac. Why? Because the text says a prudent wife is from Yahuwah. So a wise and understanding wife, Yahuwah will put that in the path of a man who he has determined to join together to that woman. The same thing when you look at it with Boaz and Ruth. You know what I'm talking about? But see, the thing is you have to be a virtuous woman and a righteous man for that to come to pass. You just ain't randomly joining people together, and you will know if Elohim brought you together by situations and circumstances, even if it was before you knew him. Because everybody, and the reason why I mentioned that, because a lot of women who say that, they say that because they don't want to do the things necessary and required to make themselves available for a man to choose them for a wife. They expect some man to just come kick in the door or just pop up magically while they're in the grocery store or this, that, there, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Some fantastical romantic comedy type storyline and narrative that is not going to happen. It's just not how life works. Nobody's just going to randomly pop up and say, ha ha, I'm going to marry you. You are my wife. Because 9 times out of 10, if a nigga popped up and told you that, you would be disgusted. You wouldn't even be attracted to him. Because you would think that something was wrong with him. Nevertheless, let's continue in verse 10, I should say. And in the house, his disciples asked him again of the matter. And he said unto him, whosoever shall put away his wife and marry another commit adultery against her. And if a woman shall put away her husband and be married unto another, she commit adultery. So again, he guided his affairs according to the judgment of Elohim. A lot of people feel like you can divorce and remarry. That's your business. Book say what it say. That man say he hate divorce. It is what it is. You sit back and look at it. He divorced his wife and then came in the flesh, died so she could be married back unto him. He did not divorce and marry another. So my example is Elohim. I don't care what no other man did. You be like, well, this man, I don't care what that man did. What did Yahuwah do? I don't follow the examples of what men did. I don't care if it was a man in this text and he had been married and divorced 17 times. Yahuwah didn't do it. That's the example I'm following, period. You don't like it, take it up with him. That's the same token, like, well, David had multiple wives. That's his business. How many wives Yahuwah got? Oh, he got one. Then that's the example I'm following. You want to follow the example? That's your business, brother. You got to deal with Yahuwah when you see him. You know what I'm talking about? You got to take that up with him. Because I'm not going to go back and forth with you about it. You want to get divorced and remarried multiple times, that's your business. You know what I'm talking about? You want to have 5, 6, 7, 8 wives, that's your business. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm just saying, you know, I'm going to follow the example that Yahuwah laid out. You can do as you wish. See, that's very simple to keep your life peaceful. Because a lot of us feel like we got to prove ourselves to be correct. No need for that. No need for that. Because every man going to have to answer for what they've done in this body, whether it be good or evil. All I can tell you is to do one thing, and that's follow the Lamb. You take and do with that what you will. That's the only thing we can tell anybody. Follow the Lamb. Psalm 112 and 6. That's all we can do. Just follow the Lamb. One thing I know in this life, you can never go wrong if you just follow the Lamb. Because if you follow the Lamb, he's going to lead you straight to the Father. You can't, and if you lead to the Father, you in New Jerusalem, you in everlasting life. You laying down in pasture and got rest. You cannot go wrong. Can't go wrong. He says, surely he shall not be moved forever. The righteous shall be in everlasting remembrance. Now, this one here, which one? Mote. So, mote for that there, right? This is an individual who will not be dislodged, to fall, to drop, to be greatly shaken. Of course, this is meme, u, and tet. So, this is an individual. Thank you. So, when you look at this mote, meme, u, and tet, we have an individual that by the ooh here, we'll take that nail, an individual who was nailed and therefore is contained or filled by the ruach because they are not able to be moved. I want you to come to Hebrews chapter 12. So I want you to think about this here, right? Yahushua was not moved. I want you to look at a couple things. We're going to look at a couple things in regards to that. I remember something else. Bear with me. There it is. There it is. Pray the Lamb. 12 and 23. Hebrew 12 and 23. Praise you, Lord. Let's go. To the general assembly in the house of the firstborn, which are written in Shamahim. Now pause. Remember, right? How he says that the righteous shall be in everlasting remembrance. So, of course, you know that's Olam Zakar. Long duration, this, that, there, and the third. And of course, this is referring to the book of life. Yes, we're going to go back and look at things in regards to the book of life for that purpose. And the reason being is because if you're not moved, he will remember you. He will log your name in that book. And why will he log your name in that book? Because a good man came and showed pity, mercy, and compassion and lent that mercy and compassion unto others. And then he turned around and guided his manner of life according to the word so that he would not be moved. which is taking us back to some certain stuff that we're going to read in John. And you're going to see by the time we get all the way to verse 10, and we're not going to get to verse 10 tonight, I can tell you that right now, that each verse from 10 to 1 will continually bearing witness of each other in the works of Yahusha. They will be continually doing this. And again, all of this is showing his value or his usefulness of what I was talking to y'all about when I asked you what I asked you last week. Now we're going to get to a particular version of who are willing on the morrow for a more specific purpose of the value add of the man. And then, of course, we're going to go look at the value add of the woman or the usefulness. Like there's a lot of people in real estate, when they look for multi-family properties, they always look for a value add, a property that needs the usefulness that they can provide in order to add increase in the value of the property when they sell it after they do whatever they need to do to it. See, a lot of times, especially in this present day society, a lot of men and women, when they look for a mate, they're looking for somebody who they can add value to, but in the wrong fashion. See, we turn around and we're looking for people who are destitute and seeking to fill the void of what they lack, thinking that will make us feel valuable, or that they will appreciate the value that you're bringing because they lack, versus two people who have value, recognize the value that each of them can transfer to one another, and then form a union based off of that. Now, see, our union with Yahuwah is based off the former. There were things that we lacked, that we had a void that his value could fill, which in turn should have caused us to love and appreciate him for that value. And he did it twice. Because when you came up out of Egypt, you were void and you were destitute. You didn't have anything. And he showed you his value and you rejected that by serving other gods and doing many other things that were not kumph before heaven. So then, of course, he comes in the flesh and does it again to fill the void of everlasting life by sacrificing himself that you might receive the Ruach HaKodesh. And in turn, we rejected it again. So understanding that everything which is written aforetime is written for our learning, we have a great opportunity at the moment of which my voice can be heard, and that your hearts can perceive and understand the righteous and upright words of the living Elohim, who is blessed forever, that you have the opportunity to receive said value and cherish it and guard it and bury it within the recesses of your heart, that it might be a wellspring unto everlasting life, and not reject the very thing, the very love that was manifested for your profit. See, we don't have to go out like most people do, who, when they have that void and someone is coming and saying, hey, I'm going to come and add value to you that clearly you are bereft of, you do not presently have, in order for you to love me. Because in the natural sense, we usually look at that and reject it. And it's a multitude of psychological reasons why people do that I won't delve into at this time, because it'll take me off the beaten trail. Sometimes it's not just an individual being ungrateful. A lot of times it's mental instability that they have in themselves that have actually nothing to do with the other person, but how they view themselves and how they view that they perceive that they should be treated. So when you begin to show them value and treat them in a particular fashion, then they begin to think that something is wrong with you, because why do you see value in something valueless? This is why a lot of people have a hard time understanding the mercy and love of Elohim, and sometimes it makes it difficult for them to serve him, because they can't understand, why would you love me? I know that I've done this, that, there, and the third. Indeed, and I can understand why that's the case. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying, it's a multitude of factors, because for some people it seems too good to be true, so you resist and you fight because you want to see if it's real. It's not like a one-size-fit-all thing with people who are bereft and bereft of value, and then someone of value is presenting value to them that they feel that they're unworthy to receive. So multitude of things that can go on with that. It's not just one type of thing. Of course, when you look in the natural, the person who's extending the value has a hard time understanding why this other person does not appreciate and reciprocate that back, a value that they extended of a void, in a void that they did not have to extend it to. It leaves people bewildered. I don't understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're young, you're not going to understand all that. You know what I'm saying? You're like, this nigga's tripping. You know what I'm talking about? Period. What's wrong with them? Ungrateful. Some people are ungrateful. Some people are selfish. But in my personal experience of observing others in situations of that case, it's an internal problem with the individual who had the void that has nothing to do with the person who is extending value. Some people end up messing up and losing that value. And I'm here to tell you, and I've told you before, whether it's a woman or a man, and more times than not, it's going to be the woman who loses out, though it's some men who done lost out. Don't think that it hasn't. That if you had somebody of value and you ran them off, well, you're not getting another one. I can tell you that. The likelihood of that is slim to none. You ain't gonna get another chance. That's just not, I just ain't never seen life swing in that direction for anybody that had somebody of value that was really useful to the benefit of profit is them as an individual in totality, not financial value. Because that's how some people look at it. I was a broke nigga, but I got this nigga with some money, but this nigga got a bad character. See, that's the thing we're looking at, because Yahuwah has monetary value that he can extend to you. It's not going to be the tangible monetary value that you think about. He got riches. He got wealth to extend. We already read that in Psalms 112. He got wealth to extend. But as I told you, we'll look at what makes a high value man and woman according to this word versus what makes it according to the word. Just like the brother said plenty of times, money is a component. It's the chief component, but it's not the only component. Well, the money and the component of a high value man, scripture-wise, is the Ruach HaKodesh. That is the currency. That is the chief component of being high value in the word. Without the Ruach, you are not of high value. There's no way that you could be, because you don't have the totality of usefulness of Elohim existing within you. You don't have it. So there's no way that you could have, that you could attest to that. And the one thing about it is, an individual can say that they have it, but that's something that's going to be manifest in your ways, your words, your doings, and your actions, and the reliability and solidness of your faith. And that cannot be misconstrued. This is why he said, their fruit shall bear witness of them. You shall know them by their fruits. As simple as that. Nobody, doesn't matter what you say. You can say, I got wisdom and understanding, I got the spirit, and you very well may do. But your actions will show whether you do or you don't. And most of us don't look at actions. You're listening to people. You don't need to listen to anyone. That's not what the Lord told you to do. The Lord told you to observe the fruit of their actions. What do their actions produce? Do their actions produce the things that the Spirit, that the fruits of the Spirit are supposed to be manifested? And the fruits of the Spirit can only be manifested through the seed. And the seed is the word. And the word has to fall into a heart that is of good ground, that understands it and does it. Simple as that, man. I mean, the word is not difficult. Anything can be manifested, be made plain and shown. Hebrews chapter 12. What was that? Verse 23. I'll read it again. To the general assembly in the house of the firstborn, which are written in Shamahim, to Elohim, judge of all, and the ruachs of just men made perfect. And to Yahushua, the mediator of the new covenant, to the blood of the sprinkling that speak better things than that of Abel. See that you refuse not him that speak, for they that escape not, who refused him that spake on the earth, how much more shall we not escape if we turn away from him that speak from heaven? Whose voice then shook the earth, but now he hath promised, saying, once more I shake not the earth only, but also heaven. This word yet once more signify the removing of those things that are shaken, as of the things that are made, and those things which cannot be shaken may remain. Come on over here to Matthew chapter 7. If you can't be, if when everything gets shaken and moved around you and you still, I mean, you built on a rock. This is why a good man will not be moved. Why will he not be moved? Remember, mean, who, and tie. He has he has sacrificed himself, and he is filled and contained with the Ruach. Matthew chapter 7, verse 24. Therefore, whosoever hear these sayings of mine and do them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. Everyone that hear these sayings of mine and do them not shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand. The rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. Came to pass when Yahushua had ended these things, the people were astonished at his doctrine, and he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. So, with that being said, when you hear the word and you do it, you are not going to be moved. When you guide your manner of life according to the judgment of Elohim, how could you be moved? You're going to stand on the word. Remember what it said, I mentioned that in Revelation 12 and 11. They love not their own lives, not even unto death. That's somebody who heard that word. See, that's the law is not going to produce that for you not to be moved. That's a level of faith. See, that's when you take back to them young men, Azariah, Mishael, and Hananiah. They were not moved. They say, King Nebuchadnezzar, we're careful to answer you in this matter. We're not doing that. And that had nothing to do with, oh, thou shalt not bow down to another God. Their trust and expectation was in Yahuwah. They were guiding their affairs with discretion. They were not going to be moved. I'm not going to do this over here to appease you. That is something as a man that you must have in your arsenal as a man, or you are not a man. Now, see, I'm not talking about being no douche. I'm talking about the concepts, principles, and compass that you live by, i.e., the great, just, and upright words of the living Elohim. You will not be moved. You're not moving off of that for anyone, under any circumstance, at any time. That ain't got nothing to do with your wife. That's got to do with anyone, period. No one. You're not going to be moved. See, when you look at most rules, they want you to move. They don't want you to be steadfast. And what you're talking about, well, where your mark at if you're not steadfast, son? Where's your moon at, son? Where is your Amon at, son, if you can be moved? You cannot be moved. That's just not how that goes. That's just not how that goes. That's not how that works. Daniel chapter 12. Y'all already know in Exodus 30, 31, 32, whichever one it is, it's true. He states that whosoever sin against him, them the ones who are going to be blotted out in the book. See, when you're not moved, your name is written in the book of life. You have to think about that. Why is your name written in the book of life? Because since you were not moved or mote, you sacrificed yourself, going back to what we were talking about earlier. If you want to make you a new heart, a new spirit, you can't put new wine in the old bottles because the bottle going to perish and the wine going to spill. So therefore, you're going to have to make you a new heart, a new spirit. Well, how are you going to make you a new heart, a new spirit? You're going to have to take up your cross daily. Well, if you're taking that up, that means you're bearing in your body the persecution and death of Yahushua HaMashiach to his esteem, that you could be a new creature. And why are you able to do this? Because a good man showed favor or pity or mercy or compassion upon the people, because he stretched out his hands all the day to a gainsaying and rebellious people that provoked him continually to his face. But in his goodness and mercy, he decided that I would hang myself from a tree and make myself a curse to remove a curse. so therefore I could lend unto them everlasting life. And how am I going to be able to do that? Because I'm going to guide my affairs or my manner of life according to the word. Therefore, I would not be moved in the face of persecution, because when they came and surrounded him with swords and staves, as if he was a thief, as if he was the one coming to steal, kill, and destroy, as if he was the wicked man who would borrow and not give you shalem, he said, no, I'll be in everlasting remembrance, because he humbled himself and became a man and humbled himself even unto death, to the death of the stake. He has a name which is greater above all names in heaven and in the earth and under the earth. The name of Yahushua is an everlasting remembrance from the time that he hung himself on that tree to the time he resurrected from the dead, to the time he ascended to heaven, to the time that we are gathered here right now in his name to give esteem to our Father through him. Therefore, when you do the same, your name will be left in everlasting remembrance, because you will be joined to the only name that matters, the only name under heaven of which men can be saved, which is Yahushua HaMashiach, the son of the only and blessed Elohim. But let's continue. Daniel chapter 12. And at that time shall Michael stand up, that great prince, which stands for the sons of your people. There shall be a time of trouble, as it was never since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time, your people shall be delivered, every one that is found written in the book. Let's take a look at that. Phone don't want to cooperate with me. But praise the Lamb. He ready to roll. And make it do what it do. So, first thing we want to look at is delivered, which is malat, is to be delivered, to be saved. Meme, lamad, and tet. Meme, lamad, and tet. So we see, because how were you saved? And we'll just keep it simple. The shepherd is filled with the ruach. Simple as that. Because the shepherd, since Yahushua was filled with this ruach, he is able to deliver those who are found written in the book. Matzah for written, or defined, or attained. You're going to have to be found or detected in this book, recognized in the text, Meme, Sod, and Aleph. So when you see the strength of the way of the Ruach, this is how you are found. Because remember, ancient path, seek and you shall find. Where you looking to be, you're going to have to look for him to find you. That's another conversation for another day. Of course, Katab is for written. So you got Kaf, Tau, and Ba. So again, the son was subdued and brought forth a covenant. This is how you were written. That takes us back to what's in Isaiah 49 and Zechariah 13. We talked about it a while ago. You're written on the palm of his hands. So again, it's appointing again for you to have to sacrifice yourself and carry that stake. And of course, so far for book. Now let's look at Malachi 3 on general principles. After Malachi, Acts chapter 20. And from Acts chapter 20, I think Revelation 17, maybe 13, maybe both. Who knows? But Malachi 3, verse 13. Malachi 3 and 13. Your words have been stout against me, saith Yahuwah, yet you say, what have we spoken so much against you? Yet you have said it is vain to serve Elohim, and what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance? If we have walked mournfully before Yahuwah of hosts. Now we call the proud happy, yea, they that work wickedness are set up. Yea, they that tempt Elohim are even delivered. Then they that feared Yahuwah spake often one to another, and Yahuwah hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared Yahuwah and thought upon his name. So you reverence the man, and if you reverence the man, then that means you're going to obey the man, and then you thought on his name. And he who thinks about, he say, he whose mind is stayed upon you, trust in you. for trusting Yahuwah forever, for trusting Yahuwah as everlasting strength. Oh, it's the people who believe and obey, because the just shall live by their faith. So, of course, the Zach Ron word y'all should remember, a reminder, a memorial, a remembrance. Of course, there's a memorial of you in heaven. That's when they say you got some people who their names are written in the earth. That's where they're going to be remembered at. That's where they're going to die. Acts chapter 20 and 19, make it 20 and 18. Acts 20 and 18. And when they were come to him, he said unto them, you know from the first day that I came into Asia, after what manner I have been with you at all seasons, serving the Lord with all humility of mind, with many tears and temptations which befell me by the lying and weight of the Yahudim. And now I kept back nothing that was profitable unto you, but have showed you and have taught you publicly and from house to house, testifying both to the Yahudim and also to the Greeks, repentance towards Elohim, faith towards our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. And now behold, I go bound in the Ruach unto Jerusalem, not knowing the things that shall befall me there, save that the Ruach HaKadosh witness in every city, saying that bonds and afflictions abide me, but none of these things move me, neither count I my life dear unto myself, so that I might finish my course with joy and the ministry which I have received of the Lord Yahushua, to testify of the gospel of the mercy of Elohim. That man said that he did not count his life dear to himself, and he would not be moved, so that he could bear witness to the good news of the mercy of Elohim. Again, as I said, you just take grace out, put mercy there. Listen to what the man said. None of these things move me. Neither count I my life dear unto myself, so that I might finish my course with joy and the service which I have received of the Lord Yahushua, to witness of the good news of the mercy of Elohim. See, a lot of brews say, that's that Christian talk. Nigga, you niggas squares. You know what I'm talking about? You're squares. You're lame. You're simple. You're devoid of all spiritual intelligence of any shape, form, or fashion. Because you should be telling people about the mercy of Elohim. Why wouldn't I bear witness of that? You just had a brother this just say sometimes it seems too good to be true. Why wouldn't I tell somebody that the living Elohim, who declared himself that he's abundant of mercy and full of forgiveness and is abundant in goodness and truth and is merciful and compassionate and gracious? Why wouldn't I tell anybody about that when he said it? When he proclaimed his name, he didn't say, I'm Yahuwah, who gave you 613 laws. That's not what he said. Let's look at what he said. So if he proclaimed his name to Moses as these things, then why wouldn't I do the same? Yahuwah passed by before him and proclaimed Yahuwah Elohim, merciful and gracious, long-suffering, abundant in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin that will by no means clear the guilty, physically the iniquity of the fathers upon the son and upon the son's sons unto the third and the fourth generation. But I'm going to back this up here, right? This is what he proclaimed his name to be. So if I say I'm a prophet of the Lord, teacher of the word, an instructor of righteousness, then why wouldn't I be proclaiming what Yahuwah proclaimed himself? Yahuwah Elohim, merciful and gracious, long-suffering, abundant in goodness and truth, and keeping mercy for thousands, and forgiving iniquity and transgression. Come on, man. Come on, man. When a man proclaimed his name, he proclaimed the gospel right there. Yahushua manifested that dead in the flesh. And then you mean to tell me that ain't what we supposed to be telling people? When he said that's what his name was, when he proclaimed his name, he was a special type of stupid. You know what I'm talking about? And I tell these niggas that to their face. You a special type of stupid. You don't know this man. The man proclaimed his name, and the first thing he said was he was merciful and gracious. That's the first thing came out of his mouth. When this man proclaimed his name, the first thing he stated was that he was merciful and gracious, long-suffering and compassionate and abundant in goodness and truth, forgiving forgiving, showing mercy unto thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression. So when you see Paul turn around and say, I must do my service to bear witness of the good news of the mercy of Elohim, that's what you're supposed to do. That's how you're going to draw them to Elohim, not to being in the truth, but to get their soul saved. Is that not the objective? Is that not what we're here for? Revelation chapter 7. Because I'm not sure. Is that what we're here for? Is that what we're supposed to be doing? Do I want Revelation 17? Why not? 17 and 7. Shoot, 17 and 5. And upon her forehead was written a name, Mystery Babylon, the great mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. So when you look at someone who's a great mother of harlots, and we were just talking about this earlier in Deuteronomy 23, of this female temple prostitute, this is someone who is going to promote to be unfaithful to Elohim. That's what you have to look at. This is someone who's going to promote, and she's the mother, or she births women who are going to teach you to be unfaithful. You have to look at that. You know why most people end up being unfaithful? Because their desires are they're overwhelmed by their desires of the things that they feel versus the things that they have that are beneficial and profitable to them. Because in the moment of overwhelming desire, the feeling overtakes the logic to understand that what you are about to partake in is going to destroy you, though it's going to feel good in the moment. But the fallout from the fulfilling of desire is going to be so great that you're going to wish that you never yielded to the desire, which is why I repeatedly tell y'all, do not be emotional and to not move by your flesh, because he told you those that are Mashiach crucify their affections and lusts. You cannot, because see, you can be manipulated by your own desires, i.e. what people say, my mind's playing tricks on me. You can be manipulated by your own desires, because see, your own desires, especially for women, unfortunately, because they have a proclivity to lean to their emotions. That is not a knock, it's just reality. They will tell you this. They will begin to create scenarios in their mind according to what they are feeling, even though the scenario that they're creating is not congruent with reality. But it's reality to them. Now, again, everyone has to be held accountable for your choices and your actions. But I'm telling you this for you to be able to have a better, because some men do this as well, have a better understanding of the thought process of people. You don't have to condone someone's conduct to try to seek to understand what led them to the conduct. And a lot of times it's because they have a desire. And sometimes the desire is not for the drugs or the sex or whatever the desire was that they sought after. The desire was rooted into a void and a lacking that they felt like they weren't getting, whether rightfully or wrongfully. Some of it could be a longing for intimacy from someone that ain't even got nothing to do with sex because they didn't get it from their parents. You know what I'm talking about? Some people are abusers, many things. Because you got people, man, their minds messed up. A lot of people dealing with a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, a lot of things of that nature that they repress and suppress. You understand? But because that desire or that longing, whatever that craving, whatever the case may be, they begin to create things in their head that ends up becoming their reality. That's what they see. And then they behave or react or conduct based off of the reality that they've created in their mind. So in their mind, there's nothing wrong until the fallout comes. Now they begin to see that they were wrong, but it's also kind of hard because of the reality that I've created in my head that had to be real. So I couldn't really be wrong because that had to be real. That was reality to me. This is how people who live in sin and contrary to Elohim in many, many fashions begin to look. And I didn't finish Hebrews chapter 12 either. I need to go back to that. Begin to go back and look. I did finish it. I'm sorry. Go back and look. You understand? They sit back and look at, there was nothing wrong with me being a whoremonger. There was nothing wrong with me being a sodomite. There was nothing wrong with me being an idolater. Because these harlots have taught you to be unfaithful to Elohim by yielding to your desires, and your desires will cause you to create a reality that does not exist. But to you, it exists. And when someone comes to shake and shatter that reality that you have created, which is an actuality of fallacy, that's where the anger, the resentment, and the wrath and the violence comes from, which is why you do not envy a violent or unjust man and don't choose none of the stuff that they do. Because it's not just the doing the violence or the cruelty. These people do wrong. They don't do what's right. They don't guide their affairs with discretion. So there's no need for you to be envious or jealous of them. But let's continue. Revelation 17:6. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration, to the point that I was talking about. That's where the wrath is coming from. Because the saints, the Kased, the Kadashim of Yahushua, are going to bear witness against the fallacy that they have created in their mind according to their desires. And this will cause the woman to kill them. What you see in the natural sense is people lashing out with anger in order to play the victim of a reality that they created in their mind based off of a desire. Nevertheless, and the Malachim said unto me, wherefore do you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and the beast that carry her, whom the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not, and yet is. So again, of course, you know, everybody whose name is not written in the book says the same thing in Revelation 13 will worship the beast. Why? Because they were moved. Because they did not keep the sayings of this book, and they did not build their house upon a rock. So when the winds come, the tribulation, the persecution, they're going to fall, and their names will not be had in everlasting remembrance. When they came for Yahushua, Yahushua said, Peter, put your sword up. He said, how else will the scripture be fulfilled? I could ask for 12 legions of Malachim, my G. But the book got to be completed. Because he knew he was not moved. Even in the midst of being sorrowful unto death and praying for the cup to pass, he said, not my will be done, but your will be done. I will not be moved. Therefore, there's an everlasting remembrance, and the whole family of heaven and earth is named after Yahushua. Praise God. You got to sit back and look at it. Pay attention. Back to Psalms 112. I was picking up at verse 7. He shall not be afraid of evil tidings. His heart is fixed, trusting in Yahuwah. So again, because we're getting at the end of the line, and we keep it abridged. Let's look at what word I would. And it was kun. It was kun that we want to look at. Of course, you know that's kufu and noon, and that's to be firm, to be stable, to be established, to be directed aright, to be steadfast, to be ready, to be fastened. So when you look at that, right, we know that by crucifixion or cross or stake, whatever you want to say, the seed was subdued. Yahushua was fixed in that regard. He was not afraid of the evil tidings that these men had to say of him. His heart was fixed. Of course, you know, trusting. That's Batak. He had confidence. He was bold. He was secure. That takes us back to what we were talking about in Proverbs 28. And trusting in Yahuwah. So when you have to look at, especially with fixed, knowing that kun and that nail is there, your heart, your mind is secured or nailed to being confident in Yahuwah. You understand? And again, that goes back to what? because you will not be moved, and because you guided your affairs with discretion, which goes back to the top of the verse, because hallelujah blesses the man that fear Yahuwah, that delight greatly in his instructions. See, a man who fears Yahuwah is always riches and substance, price and high value is the definition. It is home. Hey, oo, and noon. And of course, for riches, you have Oshir, which is wealth and riches, and you have Ayin, Shan, and Raj. So those are things that you can sit back and you can pause and you can ponder upon. Look at this here, right? He is not afraid of evil tidings. So remember, right? We could go to Matthew 26. We could go to Matthew 26. We could go 26 and 57. And they that lay hold on Yahusha led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and elders were assembled. Peter followed him afar off into the high priest's palace and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. Now the chief priests and elders and all the council saw false witness against Yahusha to put him to death, but found none. Yea, many false witnesses came, yet found they none. The last came 2 false witnesses, and said, This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of Elohim and build it in 3 days. The high priest arose and said unto him, Answer you nothing? What is it which these witness against you? Yahusha held his shalom. The high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure you by the living Elohim, tell us whether you be the Mashiach, the son of Elohim. Yahusha said unto him, You have said, nevertheless I say unto you, hereafter you shall see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, coming in the clouds of Shamahim. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, He has spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now you have heard his blasphemy. What think you? They answered and said, He is guilty of death. Now, of course, there's evil tidings being manifested to this man, and he was not afraid. He did not care. And you look at John 19, Pilate told him, Don't you know I got power to let you go? You ain't got no power against me at all, cuz. All those things that those men said to him, and the whole time his heart was solidified and locked in on trusting in Yahuwah. Now remember, right? Revelation 2 and 8. I think I read this to y'all the other day. If I read it now, and if I did, I'm going to read it again. But this is the thing, right? Yahusha made mention this. It's 2 and 10. Fear none of those things which you shall suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast you into prison, that you may be tried. You shall have tribulation 10 days. Be you faithful unto death, I will give you a crown of life. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Ruach say unto the houses. He that overcomes shall not be hurt of the second death. When he say, Abba, into your hands I commend my Ruach in the book of Luke, his heart, when these people were mocking him, his mind was strictly on his Elohim. See, I'm mentioning this here because I didn't even get to something that I wanted out of the book of Peter on Wednesday about Lot. And that's just coming to mind. So we're going to look at it right now. 2 Peter chapter 2. 2 Peter chapter 2. Pick it up at verse 4. I meant to read this Wednesday and I didn't read it. When we look at Lot, right, his sons-in-laws were mocking him when he said, we got to go in order for salvation. Now, of course, they're not giving this evil tidings, but not even the evil tidings that you might think, oh, probably you see that, oh, I'm going to kill you. But nevertheless, he wasn't moved by that because he trusted in Yahuwah. Lot knew he had to go. But let's look at this point. For it says in 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4, if Elohim spared not the Malachim that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them to the chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, and spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, because we talked about that on Wednesday as well, about how that started, what was the purpose of that, beginning the process of looking at him having mercy and compassion because he showed it to Noah, because Noah was a perfect man, was a just man, a righteous man who was complete, or Tamaim, in his generations, because the hearts of men were evil continually. All they wanted to do was to pervert righteousness. You can't get mercy and compassion when all you seek to do is pervert and corrupt that which is just. And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemn them with an overthrow, making them an ensample unto those that after should live ungodly, and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conduct of the wicked. See, a lot of our people are vexed based off of the oppression that they perceive that we receive, versus a lot of them being vexed by the conduct of the people around them. See, Lot didn't sit back and look at it, oh, these black people, so it's okay. He didn't care who it was. And that's when you have to look at that. Are we really righteous as we say we are? Are you only vexed at the conduct of people who don't look like you? Or are you vexed at evil, filthy conduct no matter who commits it? Because Yahuwah has no respect of persons when it comes to that. He say, for that righteous man dwelling among them and seeing and hearing vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. Now, I know some of y'all see the stuff that go on in this place and you just be disgusted. That's why it's best for you to stay to yourself. You know what I'm saying? And to try to make sure that you separate yourself from this stuff as much as possible, just to keep yourself from being agitated. You know what I'm talking about? Because these people wild, man. These people do stuff the way you go to feeling, just like John in Revelation. Man, Lord, Yahusha, please come. Because I can't take this John. These niggas crazy. It ain't right. And they expect us to accept it. I'm not accepting no punks, man. I'm not accepting no trannies. I'm not accepting no whoremongers. I'm not accepting no adulterers. I'm not accepting any thieves or idolaters or lie. I don't stamp that. And I have no qualms of letting that be known that I don't agree with that. You can do whatever you want to do. But I'm not agreeing that. I'm not going along to get along. And that's what a lot of us do. We're going along to get along versus stand, nah, bro, I don't roll with that. Because you're afraid of how people are going to view you or call you, you're judgmental. Call me what you want, nigga. I ain't with it. And I ain't talking about just sitting back from afar looking at celebrities and athletes, because them niggas don't count. It's Monday morning quarterback, famous people. But do you have that same level of disgust for your family and friends and the people who are around you who do the same things? Does that vex your spirit? Could you understand if your spouse or one of these brothers and sisters seeing your family do certain things and they would let you know that vexes my spirit? I have no desire in company with them. Would that bother you? Or are you looking at it because you're connected by blood? Who gives a damn about that? I hate their conduct, nigga. I don't want nothing to do with that. It vexes my soul. What do you not understand? So you would rather my soul be vexed because of their conduct? Or would you rather me be in the sanctity of peace of Elohim and not subjecting myself to such vanity and wickedness? See, that's a conversation we don't have because nobody want to think about that. Because you don't want to see your people as those people whose conduct vexes somebody's soul because they can't stand their unlawful deeds. Because you tolerate the unlawful deeds because you feel like you have to maintain some connection, whether they be friends, family, co-workers, or the like. See, it's easy for you to say you're going to distance yourself from a celebrity. You don't know them people. Nevertheless, the Lord know how to deliver the godly out of temptations and to reserve the unjust until the day of judgment to be punished. See, that's what you sit back and that's why we read that in regards to Noah and Lot on Wednesday. Because if you godly, he'll get you out of there and he'll kill the rest. And again, that goes back to something I done told you. You can take it and do with it what you will. You can perceive and understand. If Yahuwah permit, he has severed you from amongst others that you can be his. Now you take and you do with it what you want to do with it. Have you just paused and considered that maybe he severed you from them people so that you could be saved and that they could be destroyed? See, it's hard for you to sit back and see that. There, remember, you don't see nothing about it saying that Lot was upset or concerned because his wife died because she looked back. That wasn't none of his concern. Oh, why you had to kill her, Lord? I know why she died. You did what he told you not to do. That's on you, baby. I'm looking forward, not behind. Ain't nothing but wickedness and sin back there. What's back there for me? So since that was important to you, clearly their conduct didn't vex you. Clearly you stamped it. You agreed with it. You liked it. You wanted to be a partaker of such. Knowing that those who delight in those deeds are worthy of death as they are. Nevertheless, Psalms 112. You know what? We'll stop right there because verse 8 will take us on a journey. So praise be to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. I appreciate y'all time this evening. Prayerfully, you understood all those things and there's things left to ponder upon and consider. There's a multitude of layers to uncover as forth as the things that we looked at from Wednesday to now, that all are connected to every single solitary verse that is contained in that Psalms 112, which we dissected. Understand that the mercy of compassion in Elohim is real. It is just. It is desirable. It is beautiful. It is the greatest thing that you would ever encounter. Take hold unto it and never relinquish it. As the parable that the Lord stated, take that pearl and bury it in your yard. It's of great price, or in your field, as it actually says. It's of great price. Understand that if you don't want your bottle to perish, you need to make a new bottle. Make sure that your heart is affixed on Yahuwah, and make sure that you govern your conduct according to the judgment of the word. You know what I'm saying? This pathway is so simple. We just complicate it. No need. Just hold fast. But I appreciate y'all time this evening, man. Yahuwah willing, we'll pick it up on tomorrow. Bless y'all the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Let the living Elohim be continually praised by the way of his son, Yahushua HaMashiach. Let his praise be in your heart and in your mouth, and let his righteousness be manifested in your deeds. Hold fast to the words of promise that you might receive a full reward, and that you might become one with his Ruach and be anointed unto everlasting life. Let no man steal your crown, and let your house be built on that rock. You are willing, till the next time we pick it up again, do it again